New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello there. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, whatever time you're watching me. Hello. And I know that I want you to know that you have come to the right place today. So, my name is Paula Gonzalez, your doula for grief. I am a grief coach. I am a certified grief educator. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a religious science practitioner and a licensed soul collage facilitator, and also a human being right here with you, navigating these beautiful waters called life, grief, choppy waters of grief. So just welcome. I want you to know, as I said, that you've come to the right place, especially if you are just starting on your journey of recovering from grief and moving through that, moving down that path, that this program can so support you in doing that. And if you're returning, I'm glad to see you back, glad to have you here with me. And before I move into our program, there's a couple things I'd like to just share. Last week, I just had the opportunity, a beautiful opportunity to participate in the Convention of the Americas, which happens right here at Lake Chapala. I happen to live close by, but it's an international convention. And this year, the theme was Tu luz es mi luz, your light is my light. And it was just absolutely beautiful. It's a bilingual. It has simultaneous translation, so English or Spanish. You're always kept in the loop and always know what's going on. But more than just hearing language and hearing words, it was one of those conventions that you were feeling the entire time, feeling that unity that we all always talk about, the unity, the oneness, the togetherness, and just feeling into love, which is the greatest power of all. I feel that was the biggest takeaway. I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time on Zoom, and it's, everybody's in their Zoom square, but here people were out of their squares and they were absolutely human, and you could embrace and just be in that auric and energetic feel of other people. It was absolutely wonderful. We had great speakers, Reverend Jeffrey Ryan out of Riverside in California, Reverend Sonny Cantrell. And if you're part of CSL, which is Centers for Spiritual Living, because this convention was one of those, New Thought Ageless Wisdom, which is what CSL, the philosophy of CSL is. So this was a CSL sponsored convention. And if you want to know more about what CSL is doing and programs, just go to CSL, C as in Charlie, S as in Sam, L as in Larry.org. There's beautiful programs coming up. CSL is participating in the International Peace Day that happens in September 21st, and go and see what you can do to lend your efforts to peace. And it's not even about paying money or contributing, none of that. It's like, what can you do in your own local community to further the awareness of peace in the world? And they've got some lovely art projects that you can participate in. So I just wanted to put that plug in for CSL, for Centers for Spiritual Living. And as you know, the owner of this network, Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski, is administered through CSL. So therefore, this makes this program and his channel New Thought, Ageless Wisdom also. So with that said, I want you to just make this hour about you and for you. Go and grab a cup of tea, a cup of water, a cup of lemonade. If you're in a cold, again, whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable and cozy and settled in for a little bit. Do that. Take care of that. We have a few minutes before I start on our theme. And so I want to take this opportunity right now to dedicate this program to the memory of Perry Akins. He was a family friend that made his transition last night. And I offer this candle that will remain lit during the program to honor the memory of Perry Akins, and sending light and love to his family, knowing that death is the birth into our next existence. So I say to Mr. Perry, live well in the next existence, knowing that we are honoring you here right now. And thank you for gracing our lives with your presence. So that's for Perry Akins. Just a moment of silence for him. Thank you. And that this candle will remain lit for him throughout the program. And I want to take this time as well to send some healing energy to two people. And that would be Kathy Rothenberger. That's my producer's wife. Joe is my producer, Joe Rothenberger. And she's in the hospital. So just send her love. Just send her love and send her that healing energy from the heart. And also I have a beautiful friend that is visiting from California down here in Chapala. And her name is Freya Hermanson. And Freya is not feeling well today. So let's send her that same wonderful, wonderful healing energy that is filled with love and light. So thank you. So get well, Freya, and get well, Kathy. And I want to say hi to my friend Megan, that is usually out there. And why don't you become a part of this program and just drop a comment, ask a question, and I will answer it, respond back. Even if the program's over, I still get the comments that come in. So thank you, thank you. Okay, well, with that said, I'm going to take a deep breath and get back to the reason that we're here, and that is to discuss grief. And my theme today that was all planned out was the wisdom of grief. Jerrie Paul, another doula for grief, and calls herself a midwife of grief. Jerrie Paul was going to be my guest today, but due to technical difficulties, Jerrie could not. She was unable to join the program. But I'm going to make that happen in the future. Jerrie's going to work on her end, and I'm going to work on my end, because I think it would be great to get another perspective on grief from someone else that's a professional that's doing this as well. And I say professional on grief, but we all have knowledge of how to comfort others during grief. We have knowledge, and sometimes we just want a little bit more information. How can I be a better grief support? How can I help someone? Or how can I help myself? What do I need to remember about myself? So Jerry's not here to have that particular dialogue, but I just thought I would just do some reminders of things to remember if you're in grief. So that's the direction I would like to take us today. Just things to remember when you're in grief. And if you have any tips or tricks of the trade that you use that helps you navigate a difficult time, please just pop it in the comment box. And yes, just drop it in the comment box. And what we're going to do before I launch into things to remember if you're in grief, I am going to just take a break because I think we're going to do two parts of this. Things to remember when you're in grief, but also how to support someone else that is grieving, how to help a friend in grief. So with that said, sit back, get comfy, get your tea, get your coffee, get your wine, get your lemonade, and and for Freya and Kathy, maybe get your health drinks together and come back. So I'm going to take a little break, and we'll come back and we'll get started on our theme that is for right now, things to remember if you're in grief. Thank you, Joe. So welcome back. Are you ready to get started on things to remember if you're in grief? You know what? A little poem just popped up here that I wasn't expecting, so maybe it wants to be read. Let me just read you this little poem. And it's by Hafez. I am a great lover of the readings of Hafez. And it starts out, don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut you more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few humans and even divine ingredients can. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so tender, my need for the divine absolutely clear. And I substitute the word for grief, loneliness for grief. So I read it just substituting the word grief for loneliness. So don't surrender your grief so quickly. Let it cut you more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few humans and even divine ingredients can. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so tender, my need for the divine absolutely clear. And I love that because I always say that grief does bring gifts. You know, grief is very transformational. You cannot go through an episode of grieving, be it a human loss or a living loss. You cannot go through that and not come out on the other side as a changed person. That is for sure. That grief does bring you gifts. So many people open up in areas and in ways that they had not envisioned before experiencing the grief. By being with it, they have able to, tap into recesses of themselves that was not available until grief came along and gave them that opportunity to experience other emotions that they normally would not have experienced. And that's why I love that poem when it says, let it cut more deeply, let it ferment and season you as few humans and even divine ingredients can. It opens one up to say, what do I want in life? How do I want this life to be? So know that grief has a superpower, and that superpower is healing. Yes, the very thing that we run away from with grief is the very thing that it is presenting us with, the opportunity to really heal. And I will say this, that grief is caused by loss. And loss is what we're experiencing. Grief is what we feel. And I'll repeat that there's a myriad of losses that we can experience that is unrelated to death, even though death is the biggest loss we'll have. I say the biggest hole that will ever be blown open in your heart is the loss of a loved one. But we have other incidences, situations, and events that happens that puts us in to grief. So with that said, I will now just go to our things to remember if you are in grief. So just take a deep breath. Things to remember if you are in grief. Just allow the breath to call back the power. Allow your breath to call back your attention from whatever you were thinking or kind of drifted off. Just come back to the breath and let that recenter you and refocus you right here. So, things to remember if you're in grief. And today we are talking about death, honoring my dear friend, Mr. Perry Akins. So, okay, so we're going to start with the very first, just talking about loss, okay? Experiencing loss affects your head, your heart, and your spirit. Confusion can happen, fear, explosive emotions, absent-mindedness, disorientation, guilt, or relief are just a few of the symptoms you may experience. These are really normal and healthy. And I know people that have had those feelings of relief, and some refer to it as not just relief, but just relief that it's over, but some type of an internal happiness. And those people really feel, in my experience, they deal with a lot of guilt around that. And what I want to say to that is we all grieve differently. Whatever comes up for you comes up for you. The idea that I want to, or the seed that I want to plant, is that there's nothing abnormal or strange about the way you are grieving. It is you. You're a unique individual. There's no other like you. So, of course, your grief would even be unique. So, accept yourself, accept your way of grieving, accept your way of grieving. And in that accepting the grief in your own way, that's how you grieve. Express your grief openly. By sharing your feelings of grief with others, healing occurs. Allow yourself to speak from your heart and not from your head. So many times what happens with people is that they'll start to talk about how they're feeling with their grief. And they say, and I know I shouldn't feel this way. Oh, I know that not, oh, I know, and I can rationalize it, and I know they're in a better place. And it's like, no, just stay with your heart. Stay with what's in your heart. If your heart is sad, if your heart is angry, if your heart is to express that, we can let our heads do work at other times. But for right now with grief, you need to just lead from the heart. Lead from the heart. I always say, and I've said it so many times, that the 3 pillars of healing grief is that, number 1, grief needs to be heard. Yes, grief needs to be heard. To hear it, that you're grieving. Grief needs to be shared, with your sharing your grief. And grief needs to be validated. With that said, having someone that says, yes, I can understand how you got that. Oh, yes, just yes to what you're saying. Versus, oh, don't feel that way. Oh, that's not right. No, you need to have it validated. So that's why it is so important to express your grief. And I want to say this, and I know I'll move on to how to support someone in grief. I want to ask you to be selective in the people that you share your grief story with. As Brene Brown, there was one book I was reading, her book, Rising Greatly, I think. And she just says that people have to earn the right to hear your story. People have to earn the right to hear your story. And that means sharing your story with someone who is open, someone who is loving and accepting of you. So many times people in grief will just start to share with whatever circle they're in, and people are moving away and not feeling into it, or people are so, what is the word? We are so unaccustomed to talking about grief that we get uncomfortable when someone does start to talk about it. So select your audience carefully, because you're worthy of being supported during this time. Yes, worthy of being supported. Okay, so that's expressing your grief. And I think I've covered this already as well. Realize that your grief is unique. No 2 people will grieve exactly the same. Don't try to compare your experience with that of other people. Oh, and if people say just the wrong thing, or you feel like, wow, I can't believe they said that. You know what? Just forgive them and release them. Because we don't have classes on grief etiquette. We don't have classes, we don't learn, or we aren't socialized to how to support people in grief. So know that we are all learning together. Individually we learn, but knowing that together we're better. We can be even more effective. So we're learning. So if someone says something, it wasn't the right thing, release it and let it go. Sometimes we can latch on to something that's ridiculous that someone said. and we can't seem to let it go. But just release it with, they don't know better. They haven't learned better. So, with that said, we'll keep moving forward. Okay. The next quote, I just want to remind you that you can survive this. You may think you cannot, but you can. So switch that no in your head. Know that you can survive. You may not think so, but you can. That is one of those gifts of grief, is resilience. Allows you to see how resilient you are. If you can say, oh, I lived through that horrible, horrific experience, I can live through whatever is next that life presents to me. And Eleanor Roosevelt has a quote. I'm going to see if I can tap into my memory bank. I think she says something similar that, that when something horrific happens, you just say, if I can live through this, I can live through anything. Knowing that I'm making it through this affirms that I can make it through anything. So I was ad-libbing. I hope Eleanor forgives me. In another area, the next reminder is try to put off major decisions for at least a full year. And that's something I'm sure that you've all heard throughout. Don't make any major decisions for a year. But sometimes people have to make decisions. It may be around your own survival and livelihood that you have to make a decision. Sometimes people have been in that anticipatory grief stage for a long time and have made plans for what they will do after their loved one transitions. So it may look like, oh, you didn't wait the year, but no, yes, that person has been with these thoughts and ideas and have planned ahead. And sometimes for survival, for economic reasons, for support reasons, people have to make those decisions. So if you can, hold off for a year. And the idea is that, our brain on grief, is not always full throttle. I'll put it that way. Did you know that 10% of your brain power is being used to process the grief? So you're really not fully present for yourself to really make those decisions that may require some thought. But I don't want you to beat yourself up about it if you have to make a decision. Just know that if you can, try that. Okay, the next quote is, through reaching out to others and reaching out to others and accepting support is often difficult. The most important self-care you can provide is to find a support system. Find those who encourage you to be yourself and acknowledge the range of your feelings. So reaching out for support, it affirms what I say, don't do grief alone. Just don't do grief alone. And there's so many ways of getting support now. So many ways, especially that was the gift from the pandemic. I think Michael Beckwith calls it the Corona bonus, is that now there's so many online groups that are out there versus, getting in your car driving. And that could be absolutely wonderful that you got in your car and drove to be with people, with a group of people in person. I'm just saying, don't let the fact that maybe you don't have transportation, don't want to drive, don't let that limit you, because there are online groups. I just finished my certified grief educator program with David Kessler, Kessler. He's a grief expert who studied with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And I know that he has a support group online. It's just a minimal fee that you pay a month. And they meet weekly. He does handouts and just really helps you move through grief. And the name of his grief support is Tender Hearts. So look up Tender Hearts, David Kessler Grief Support. That can really be the place that you go, that you really feel like people understand you. They really get you. They know what you're talking about when you're talking about different episodes or different scenarios around grief. Oh, and also, my sister is in a group. Oh, the widows. I think it's just the widows. And also Soaring Spirits is another one. Soaring Spirits, the widows, and David Kessler, Tender Hearts. So there are places and spaces to go. There's opportunities that are available for you. And I would hate to see you suffer in silence, thinking that there is no place to turn or go. So, okay, thank you. So be tolerant of your physical and emotional limits. Your feelings of loss and sadness will probably leave you fatigued. Your ability to think clearly and make decisions may be impaired. Respect what your body and mind are telling you. Nurture yourself. And I just want to say that is up there with number one with expressing, taking care of yourself physically. Did you know that grieving is physically exhausting, not just emotionally and mentally, but physically exhausting? So take more naps if you need to. Sleep in if you can. But just know that, yes, my body just may need some more rest. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a little irritated and beyond cranky. Maybe just rest is in order. Rest, rest, rest. As you know, I'm a registered nurse by trade. And I remember a doctor saying that if I wrote you a prescription for bed rest, you would not be able to afford it, because that's how valuable rest is. So just to think, we can all afford rest. Rest, rest, rest. And then when you're finished resting, rest some more. Maybe just take a day of the week that you say, today is the day that I just rest. I put aside everything. I put aside the grief that I'm feeling. I put aside thinking about my loved one that's transitioned or whatever it is that you lost, the job I lost, the home. That this is the day everything is wiped clean from the slate. And I get to do what I want to do. Do I want to go and play tennis? Do I want to go to the pool? Do I want to call a friend and go out for a movie and just giggle and laugh at lunch? So just give yourself that space of physical and mental rest. Emotionally, your emotions need a rest as well. And this is one: be patient and tolerant with yourself. Find ways to forgive yourself. What is beyond your control, and focus your energies on things you can control. Be patient and be tolerant with yourself. Find ways to forgive yourself. Forgiveness is a big, valuable tool. So, and you can allow or search for meaning. The search is often another normal part of the healing process. Some questions have answers and some don't. And if you are searching, try journaling, try writing out your feelings. If you're not a journaler, then okay, we all have phones now and recorders on our phones, and we can record ourselves. Speak into a recorder, speak into the recorder of what it is that you're asking, the question that you're asking. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? What could I have done? So, as I said, some things don't have answers. But it's okay. It's okay to search for meaning. And the last tip is remember that grief is a process, not an event. Grief takes time. Grief does take time. So those are just some of the high points to remember. If you're in grief, things to remember. And I just want to take a deep breath and shift gears to how to help a friend in grief. How to help a friend in grief. Because there'll be times that we're not in grief. I'm not in grief. You're not in grief. But you know someone that is in grief. So your friend's life, think of it this way. Think of it this way. Your friend's life is in transition after the death of a loved one. And you want to help, but you're not sure how to go about it. And so these are just some suggestions intended to help you turn your cares and concerns into positive actions. We're a doer society, if you want to put it that. We want to do something. And remember that too. Remember that too. If you are the person in grief, remember people want to do something to help. People want to help you. So reaching out to them, you will just be answering their prayers. It'll be like, oh yeah, Bonnie called. I'm so glad that I can help her through this. So remember that we all want to do something to help someone that is in grief. I think it's an innate emotion or desire to really help someone who's hurting. So practice active listening and try not to concentrate on what you might or might not say. Your physical appearance and desire to listen without judgment are precious healing tools. I'm going to read that again. Practice active listening and try not to concentrate on what you might or might not say. Your physical presence and desire to listen without judging are precious healing tools. And that's what I want to just drive home with this. You don't know the power, the intense power of just your presence is in healing with the other person. Just your presence alone. It's not what you said, how you said it. Your physical presence, you're coming there, bringing yourself 100%, is so incredibly effective. So don't forget that. So many people think, oh, I don't want to go. I don't know what to say. It's like you need not say anything. Just your presence. And I'll share this little story. I don't know if I've shared it before, working in an emergency room. One of the nurses was sharing, this was her experience, that there was a physician in an emergency room, very quiet, she said, hardly ever said 2 words. It was amazing that he could be a physician because he was just I'll say introvert, but I don't want to say that in a negative way to make anybody that is introverted feel less than. Because I'm telling you, I find introverts to be very intelligent people because they listen and pay attention. When someone like myself, I'll keep it in the eye, is an extrovert and I'm busy being out there and talking and chatting, where they're observing. But so anyway, so this physician was truly an introvert and would give just the information he needed to. But anyway, there was a family that had come into the emergency room and they had lost a family member. And it was just truly, truly devastating, devastating for everybody involved. Even the staff were affected by it. And then the mother came back like a week later to thank the doctor for his healing words during their horrific ordeal of losing their loved one. And so when the family left, the doctor acknowledged that. And when the family left, one of the other nurses said, "Oh my God, Joe, what did you say to her?" And he said, "I didn't say anything." And the other nurse that was there, that witness, said, "Nope, he didn't say anything. He was just a presence holding them during that disastrous time." So that's what I mean about the power of your presence. People will feel that you've done everything, but just showing up is the thing. And as I said, don't worry about what you to say or not to. Don't even, that's, I know it may be a concern, and we'll talk about some things that you can say if you need to say something. Or my favorite thing to say is, "I'm here for you. I'm here for you." So, okay, refrain from comments like, "I know just how you feel." You have to honor the uniqueness of your friend's loss and expression of emotions. You could say, maybe, "I imagine, I can imagine," or "I can't even imagine." Or how about, "I don't have words. I wish I had words to say that could heal." Acknowledging that you do want to have words, but maybe not having them. And as I said, a good fallback for me is, "I am here for you." Okay, so honor your friend to express a full range of feelings instead of trying to take those feelings away. They need to be felt and talked about as part of the healing process. And I know you can be tempted to say, "Oh, don't feel that way. Oh, don't grieve so hard." But allow them to express the range and depth of their emotions. Okay, and be aware of using cliches. Comments such as, "Time heals all wounds," and "at least he's out of his misery," hurt, and can cause more difficulty for you. Okay, so stay away from cliches. Realize and honor the uniqueness of your friend's grief and to be patient. Your friend's own life experiences and beliefs will help forge his or her grieving style and road to healing. So know that people do have their own cultural beliefs, their religious beliefs, and allowing them to have those. Just realizing that. That's for you as a friend, just to realize that you may not always understand because you didn't have that cultural upbringing or spiritual belief. The other is offer practical help. Washing clothes, preparing food, and helping with transportation is just a few ways that you can show you care. And most of all, maintain contact, not just at the time of the loss, but in the weeks and the months after. A visit, a phone call, writing a note. All of these acts can comfort a friend and ease his or her pain. Be open and communicative, sharing your feelings, making clear, direct statements, and try to have as few expectations as possible. Expectations, what you expect from your friend. Reach out on the special occasions that are the hard ones for the friend, such as birthdays and holidays, anniversaries. Those are hard. Try to make a note. We all have smartphones now. We can set an alarm to call our friend on a certain day, just so that they know you remember. And be sensitive to the profound changes being experienced by your friend in the aftermath of a loved one's death. His or her life is, oh gosh, yes, is forever changed. So that's how you can support a friend in grief. And remember, always, I think I said this, getting help during the grief time. Getting help. Not navigating grief alone. Just don't do grief alone. So whatever you do with your friend, the myriad of things that you can do, just know that your presence alone is the most important healing tool that can be offered. So thank you for listening to that. And I have this book, Grief, Day by Day, lovely book by Jan Warner, Grief, Day by Day. And I just want to read something on gratitude from her loss. She lost her husband. So this is her book of simple things that you can do and to get through grief day by day. And this one, and they're by weeks. She could say 30 days. But anyway, this is week 15. Week 15 is beyond 30 days, isn't it? But anyway, she says grief. Okay, we're talking about. But gratitude. Gratitude is one of the go-tos for her. And she says, grief can cloud gratitude. It can make us feel that there are no blessings left. But gratitude still exists in us. Little seedlings buried beneath winter's frost. Gratitude needs to be nourished. She says, I find gratitude in the time I spend with my loved ones. I find it in the world. In my darkest moments, I can be grateful for indoor plumbing. I might think there is nothing left for me to be grateful for, but I stop, listen, look, and breathe. And I discover I am grateful. I am grateful for elephants who mourn their dead, for the theater, for laughter, for warm blankets, and all of you who are walking this path with me. She finds gratitude and she's grateful for all the people that are walking this path of grief. So just wanted to offer that falling into gratitude, and that can help all of our lives, no matter the type of loss that you're experiencing. Falling into gratitude, even for what I said, are living losses where no one died, but there's tremendous loss. Falling into gratitude. And we're going to come to a close here. I know it's a little early. It feels like playing cookie from, no, not playing cookie from school, getting out of work early because you finished early. But we're going to bring it to a close. I'm going to close with this James Baldwin quote. And what do I do right now? It is necessary, why in darkness, to know that there is a light somewhere. To know that in oneself waiting to be found, there is a light. I'm going to read it once more. It is necessary, why in darkness, to know that there is a light somewhere. To know that in oneself waiting to be found, there is a light. So allow that grief to lead you back to your own internal light. And as that conference that I just attended, too loose as me loose, your light is my light. That's why we heal together. Grief is truly a communal event, that what touches one touches all. So know that. So I thank you for joining me today. And let's just close this way, in the way that I love to close. I just want you to right now, right after we finish, go to the mirror, look in your own eyes, and just say, what do I need today? What do I need today? Whatever comes up, honor that, because you are worthy, so worthy of healing. So with that, I say thank you, namaste. Don't do grief alone. Thank you. Until next time.